Welcome to Das One Hunt. I'm Jean-Pierre Ruth for Information Week. And in this episode, we are going to be taking a look at the AI investment space in relation to enterprises, looking at whether or not they are investing too much for right now, or maybe they're investing too little, or maybe there's that sweet spot in the Goldilocks zone and they're doing it just right. And we'll be discussing, how this has been playing out and hopefully in relation to the realities of where AI is currently. And helping me out, since some of you know I have my thoughts on AI in general, I've got some more knowledgeable people to, open up this discussion. In today's episode, we have John Lovelock, Chief Forecaster with Gartner, Steve Ross, Director of Cybersecurity with SRM, Aaron McFarlane, Vice President of Operations with Fair Market, Sri Malikarjun, Chief Scientist and Head of AI Innovation with Reorg, and Ryan Johnson, Chief Product Officer with CallRail. All of you, thank you so much for being here and being on the episode today.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Ken, today's topic is, looking at the current investment arena in AI for enterprises. Are they putting enough into growing this tech space relative to their needs, or is the money getting ahead of itself in terms of like what the technology is actually producing? So John, if you could help us out, is AI investment, at least where it seems to be standing right now, is it a substantial part of the current enterprise, like IT budget space relative to other IT expenditures that enterprises seem to be making? We plenty of headlines about it, but then what's kind of like the reality of how much of that is going on with enterprises?
Well, enterprises themselves are really lagging behind on the AI, Gen AI spending. So banks, retailers, manufacturers, they're not in that spending mode yet. This year is the year of the POC for them. Can they find something to do that'll work? And next year is when they start to execute. The tech providers, they have to be building this year. They have to create the products that will be bought next year. So there's a massive amount of spending going on. And the servers really take up the airspace. But it's a fantastic story. Back in 2022, $67 billion, give or take, spent on servers by technology providers around the world. Next year, $138 billion. By 2028, $210 billion. So an industry that has gone from just outsourcing and then cloud and then the infrastructure as a service provision on 70 million of spending, triples that in 7 years. So there's a big ramp up in the amount of compute capacity required to do generative AI, and that's certainly taking up a lot of the airwaves right now.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much for that. Sri, when we talk about AI investment, how, from your perspective and your experience, how does it seem to be comparing with the trends in other kinds of tech? Have we been kind of taking off kind of quickly or slowly versus other technologies that, when they came onto the scene, there might have been a hesitance or a race to really start to kind of put money into those spaces?
Yeah, I feel like AI budget growth over the last 5 years has vastly outpaced major tech investments like cloud or Internet of Things during their days. However, it's important to note that AI has started with a low baseline. With the other tech comparisons, right? It's just not the technology or infrastructure. It's the human brains too, how well we are understanding these AI models, the uncertainty behind it, and do we have enough training data to train them and have enough computing power to host these big, large models.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you for that. Aaron, when we throwing out the words AI investment, from your perspective, what do we mean when we were saying AI investment? I mean, some folks might say, it's talking about, hiring talent to work with or develop AI, it's procuring AI resources from a third party, working on it in-house. What are your thoughts about when you hear AI investment? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. It used to be there was a joke that went around that said you write machine learning in Python, you write AI in PowerPoint. And I think what we've seen is an evolution that AI is actually real technology. And most of the time when people are talking about it, they are talking about Gen AI, but they're also talking about understanding the compliance, the applications, the situations where it makes sense, the risk, and the investment. So, like John said earlier, I think what we're seeing is companies looking for practical applications and proofs of concepts, and you're seeing folks like me in the software space who are really embedding this into our products. So on our end, what we're seeing is people use that phrase as a combination of sort of the what we call the V2 technologies and Internet of Things, machine learning, deep learning, combined with the application of generative AI.
If I may, I just want to add to that is I feel like investment, as Erin was saying, is around the talent and the systems, but also about the culture. The organizational readiness, I think, plays an important role. It doesn't matter how good of an AI team or a good of a model you have, unless the organizational readiness is there. It includes operating model, the business model, and how the other parts of the organization are going to receive it, and and translate it into either whether revenue or productivity growth.
Gotcha. Thank you both for that. Ryan, when we're looking at AI investment, or at least even thinking about, where to put the money, what seems to be, from your view, some of the more expensive aspects of putting money into the AI space? Where, we talk about like lots of dollars going different, into different places, but where, from your sense, where is that money going, and should it be going elsewhere?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what we've seen through the lens of developing new AI-powered products, a lot of the cost is like, what is it built on top of, and what is that usage cost, and how does that play into pricing and packaging and that strategy? And I think the folks I've talked to, a lot of it is like, yeah, we're all trying to figure it out. And making sure that the products we deliver can protect margin and those types of things. And very quickly, if you're not optimizing these systems that you're utilizing, you can end up, with a significant bill and go, oh, wow, like I didn't realize we utilize that many input and output tokens. So like, what do we do there? So I think there's significant costs, whether you're using, OpenAI, Anthropic, whatever it may be, that you have to keep an eye on. And then certainly on the infrastructure side as well, too. And that's some of the things I think out there when, you were talking about, are we spending too much or too little? Like it's pretty hard to digest how much some of these companies are actually spending, because they don't break it out. It's not like on their reporting that says, hey, an AI investment, this is what the models cost, and from a usage perspective, this is what our infrastructure cost is, this is what our support cost is. It's all blended together many times. And so to me, in the product development world, really the two biggest costs I see are the things that are built on top of it and the infrastructure to support it.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you very much for that. Steve, has AI delivered in ways that would warrant, from your perspective, further investment? One of the things in particular that I hear from time to time is the idea of AI being put to work in cybersecurity, efforts to, find, help it, it being used to help try and catch, bad actors or those are like anomalous things. Is it delivering yet, or are we still kind of waiting for that, what it's going to potentially, be?
Sure. I think we're seeing AI kind of deployed in the space already. If you think kind of current gen EDR tooling, endpoint detection and response, a lot of those top tier tools are going to integrate some sort of AI function within it to do, signature identification, noticing, when a threat actor tries to move laterally within your system. So to your point directly, absolutely, we see AI being used in the security space. But looking ahead, I think what we're going to see is more of the Gen AI growth, trying to replace, eyes on glass monitoring. That's a high cost in the security industry. So I think what we'll see is more development, more deployment of AI from a preventative perspective in the security world.
Great. Thank you for that. And each of you, thank you for giving your specific input on those questions. Now for the free-for-all. All right, so what do enterprises need per se versus what AI is actually offering in the here and now? Is there some sense of fluff in terms of like, hey, AI is doing this, but when enterprises actually needed something different right now, what are your thoughts in terms of, the needs versus what's actually available, or maybe in the near term could be available via AI?
Right now is the time where the tech space is trying to get the product, services, and offerings ready for CIOs. What they need is, in many senses, the plan. What is it that they want to be able to do? Where is AI going to bring the biggest value to them? Now, we've got a lot of AI use cases that are, simply paving growth paths. We've been doing this for a little while. Let's do it a little bit better, a little bit faster, a little bit cheaper using AI. That's going to be the initial stuff. We will get further down the road as the product, services, and offerings get better. But we have to remember, generative AI is not a market, it's a technology. And it is a technology that can get added to everything we use on a daily basis. It's going to be added to your PC. It's going to be added to every piece of software in an enterprise. It's going to be added to your watch and your TV and your car. The breadth of it is astounding. We're at the very early days of where it's coming in, and it's software first. Most companies are looking to embed some form of generative AI in their functionality, and CIOs will take it up based on what's on offer.
Yeah, I want to echo what John's saying. I don't think the challenges that we're facing right now are necessarily to do with the technology itself, but understanding what the best applications for it are. And specifically understanding how you balance risk with outcomes like cost savings and efficiency, because there is risk involved with trying out a new technology. But if you use the technology to do something so low risk that it is unable to have impact, it's awfully hard to justify the investment. So I think that's the search right now, is it's not necessarily about the technology being either weak or strong enough for the job. It's trying to figure out what job should it be doing right now. Should it be doing, like John said, just improving what we're already working on, or really helping us forge new directions and do things in a different way? And I think that's the question that's open right now. And what's happening is it's not a question about the tech. It's a question about where can you put it to practical, real use inside of an enterprise.
And I think it's interesting to see that a couple recent data points of how people are pushing the boundary. McDonald's kind of comes to the forefront where they, launched all these like basically AI voice agents to take orders. And then they just said, oh no, we're going to shut it all down. Like it was a nice test, but not ready for prime time. And so it's interesting to see these large enterprises also kind of test, some of those things that, maybe there's not enough information to really understand what someone through drive-through actually wants to interact with. Should they have invested in something that just automatically summarizes the order based on the words that the customer said, versus having an agent, virtual agent trying to digest that. So I think it's really exciting to see those things. I applaud companies that are that big and they're willing to take some of those chances. Because I feel a lot of them out there are still in those early phase of, time savings, efficiency, and you're hearing great anecdotes about it. But I think, seeing all ends of the spectrum is, exciting time to be in.